In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Frank
Dr.
here. Hi,
Sorry.
it's Dr. Nick Riviera. Meet my good friend, Mr. McCraig, with a leg for an arm and an arm for a leg. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I am Frank. You are Chadwick, correct?
Yeah. I'll be playing the role of Chadwick today.
Okay, good. Star-studded cast here today. Just the two of us. No guest, which is not. You don't come here for the guests. Let's be fair. You
Yeah.
should though, which would mean we'd have to get more guests. It's complicated. You know what wasn't complicated?
My last
Nope. Don't even
doctor's
say
visit.
it. Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. My last prostate exam was
Surprisingly.
spicy. Yeah. Don't get a prostate exam after lunch. I don't know. Yeah. Their lunch, not your lunch. They're like eating something spicy. They got in their hand. Gloves. What are those? What isn't complicated is the toys, the cars, the things that we played with in our youths, right? We've got these big, annoying, but cool, complicated machines that we're playing with and fixing, and things break, and there's registration and insurance, and my tires are aging out, and that has to pass SPOG. Relatively complicated. The toys, the cars that we played with in our youth, far less complicated. I was kind of playing with some of the random diecast cars that I live vicariously through my son.
That's what we do, right?
I buy them for him, but they're really for me.
Like when you're in the checkout at the store, I'm like, yeah, Teddy, good choice on these cars, man. I know you really love these specific cars from the 80s and 90s that I relate to.
Exactly. Yeah. My wife was always like, how do you remember which ones he has? He has so many. I was like, oh, I know exactly. I've got like a mental Rolodex, or like, oh, he has that one, but it's a different color. So I'm going to get
color
variants to get the alternate. Yeah.
It's the chase vehicle. Get with it.
Yeah. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. We've done the video game episode before.
Yes.
But men of a certain age like us, when we were younger, we didn't play with video games all the time. No, we played with real tactile toys. And so I wanted to discuss that a little bit. Were you deep into the woods on that stuff as a youth?
So if you can relate to the content of this episode, go ahead and schedule a colonoscopy.
That's right. Exactly.
Very true.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. Of course, man. Let's start it off with like the most obvious one, Hot Wheels Matchbox cars, because I still can't go to the store without snagging. Like you walk by the display, like I just take a quick look. Oh man, and they're coming out. They're really targeting us, our demographic, with these 80s and 90s cool cars. And you just grab a few. But honestly, the best part is that they're barely more expensive than they were in the 80s back in the day when I was buying them. And that's like a big middle finger to inflation, right?
It's a big, I'm conflicted on it because yes, like the Safeway right next to me, they are always either $1 each or $1.25 each, right?
Correct.
For the Hot Wheels. And there's a lot of duplicates. A lot of them aren't that cool, but there's you find the diamonds in the rough and you flip through them.
Sure.
And every time I've always done it since my son was a straight up baby, was like every time I go to the store, which is a block from my house, so I just walk there. I buy him a Hot Wheels car. I buy him a little diecast. And part of me is just like, wait, if it's been $1 for like 40 years, they've been $1 a car. I'm like, what kind of like straight up deplorable sweatshop conditions are these cars made in today, right? Where there's just like they're like little blood diamonds you can play with.
True, but honestly, so when we were kids, like they were constructed differently. A lot of them had moving parts, like the doors could open, engine bays could open up. I think that's where they saved a lot of cost. Back in the day, they added a lot more features. Like remember the plastic glass was separate, like it was a whole interior glass section. So I think they've kind of streamlined the production, is how they keep their production costs down. But I still like your idea that there's like toxic factories. They're using even more.
Oh, dude, I promise
chemicals.
you there actually is. There's actual children. Like the children's tears are fueling the joy of our kids. And
closest thing to a car they'll ever own.
Yeah, exactly. In whatever Biden's America, I don't know. But
thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Jimmy Carter. good peanut farm. Otherwise, what I've heard. The thing,
Nice.
what's cool is the like. Have you seen like there's like the nice like there's like the Hot Wheels and the Matchbox, but then there's like the next level up where there's I don't even remember the names of them, but there's like if you go to like a hobby shop, they'll have ones that have the doors that open and the rubber tires and kind of the nicer ones. And some of those are really cool, and they make some really obscure ones. Like I just got like a really clean star white with a maroon interior Starion with like the hood opens up. And it's like it's got like the decals are painted on like real tiny.
Super cool.
What about the ones you had as kids? Like, are there ones that like jump out of the ones you had like from your youth? Do you still have them? Like,
so I have a good amount of them, and I used to build like awesome tracks because you get the little orange tracks, which is basically the same as they are today, and go downstairs or like go down a tree or something wild, make these crazy like jumps. That was
jump
a big
over
thing.
the sleeping dog,
Hell yeah, or into his face to wake him up. But like I also used to buy like the off-road trucks. I was really into like the cool trucks back in the day. I still have a lot of them today, and I'd take them outside because I lived in the country. We didn't have a lot of pavement per se, so we would make dirt tracks in like the backyard and stuff, and I'd have like little rally truck races and off-roading adventures, and that was a freaking blast, dude. That was such a good time. I have so many rusty, and that's the other thing, they used metal back in the day. That's where I think we saw the cost savings. But I have some rusty, still dirty trucks from my childhood. So that's how I got down. How about you, man?
Yeah, I still have a bunch of those. So between myself and my parents, they've never got rid of them. So whenever we go over to my parents' house, or my son does, that's what we do. Get the cars and we'll play them. We've got the little like clamshell plastic one with the flip out legs that you have the track, and there's like the little like scrubby car wash thing in there. Classic. And it's got the little lift, and it's all made of plastic, and there's a little garage you put them in, and still has all that stuff. And so a lot of them, like I vividly remember playing with them as a child, and now they're still there. And so like there's some that have like chew marks from my dog who's been dead for 10 years 15 years when I was like a kid like as a puppy, and other ones that I just painted with like model paint, and they're all like terribly painted, and or ones where I crash them into a wall 100 times, and so like they've got bent axles and the paint's chipped off and all that stuff. Do you remember the California Customs ones?
What was the deal with those? Were those
They were still Hot Wheels, but they were like leveled up a little bit, and so they had like crazy like neon 90s paint schemes, and they had the rubber tires on there.
Oh,
and
they came with like a little stand you could put it on too, right? Like
I think they did come with a little platform that you put them on. And then I had some Matchbox ones that were like limited, and it came with like a little coin. And I have a 3000 GT VR4 Spider that I still have. It comes in a little like clamshell box, and it's still like affixed in the box. I never took it out.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, they're cool. Do you have any like standout ones that you remember, like, oh, this was my favorite one, and you played with it all the time?
So I had like a Toyota Hilux, like off-road one, pretty much like the one, pretty similar to the one that was in Back to the Future, and except it was like in a white color scheme, had the tire in the back and everything, and that was my favorite off-road truck. It was so cool then. Now it's extra cool when I see it. And I have a K5 Blazer off-road one that's super cool, like a jacked up K5. And I literally just last week purchased an AMC Eagle Woody Matchbox. Sick. Yeah, I was super pumped, the station wagon. So I was like super pumped to grab that.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it's funny how it's just like, I don't know, it's just like they're becoming multi-generational now. Like your kid's playing with yours and my son's playing with mine, and they're just like getting handed down and reused and repurposed. You ever fuck with slot cars?
I never really did. We somewhat similar, but we had like the the electric car sets with the batteries, and the little trigger in the car had to go in that little groove on the racetrack, and it was an electrical connection. Do you remember those?
I mean, like the electrical connection was in the track?
Yes, like they had
like that's kind of what I mean, like the slot car. Yeah.
Oh shit, I thought you meant like slot cars, like the real slot cars.
I mean, kind of. Like I've done both. I never really got into the real ones. I had a birthday party at a place that like you would rent out, and then people would bring the real ones.
Those were legit.
I mean, oh yeah, dude. Like I remember at my birthday, like I kept getting a new car because mine kept catching on fire. And so whatever reason, like the rental car they gave me would just burn, it would do like 6 laps and it would overheat and just burst into flames.
Nice.
And those were crazy. I remember they had a slot car drag strip set up. And so people would come in and like just do drag, I think it was a quarter mile to scale. So it was like
wild.
it was like a 1/32 of a quarter mile or whatever it is. I don't want to do the math, but the I was what I was referencing was what you're talking about, like the Tyco.
Yes.
Zip, 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 zip.
100%. And you had to let off the throttle for corners or you just like spin off. There's like a Mario Party mini game that's like that. You have to like let off the corners. I smoke that one every time.
And the smoke them if you got them. But like I still feel like those cars have a certain smell. And I can smell them. Like if you've been running them for a long time.
Well, it wore out too, like the little magnetic strip or whatever. Yeah, it would wear out. I fucked around with those a little bit. Those were super fun, and they always had like a crossover, right? The track always had a section where it was higher and kind of crossed over. It was pretty neat.
You would bridge, or some of them would have where they crisscross and you would crash and be like, oh,
hell
yeah. So those were really cool. Was there like, what else were you into?
So kind of like Hot Wheels, but smaller. Micro Machines, man.
If it's not Micro Machines, it's not the real thing.
Yeah, exactly. Remember the guy? He was like,
what was that guy's name?
An auctioneer kind of style. What the hell was his name?
And it would just turn the name of cars like this, and it's the Micro Machines.
That's how he did it.
Not the real thing. Yeah.
So cool. But the thing about I still have all my Micro Machines, which is super cool. I remember in 5th grade, I have a bunch. At recess still playing, and my buddy used to bring in his aircraft carrier. That was like the creme de la creme of Micro Machine collections, and he'd bring it in and we just play with that at recess, and I was so damn jealous. But I still have let me think of the ones I have those holographic sunroof ones. They had an open sunroof. You could look in and you see the interior of the car in like holographic form, which I thought was like,
that's cool.
Fucking cool thing, right? So I had like MR2s, I had like old Ferrari, like Testarossa, like C4 Corvettes, because they're all the ones from when we were kids, you know? So that was what was cool at the time. And I have some old rally cars, like a Stratos Micro Machine rally car. Sick. So it's like dope ass cars. But yeah,
I've got a couple Micro Machines, like race cars and rally cars. I remember I had a run of them that they had they were like first responder vehicles, right? So you had like an ambulance and a fire truck, and they were the tiny Micro Machines, but like you would push down on the wheels, and they had tiny LED lights on top, and it would
in the sound,
the sirens, and but they were still a Micro Machine. They were incredibly cool.
I had those,
and I still have a couple of those, but like they haven't worked in 30 years.
I had the ladder truck of that where you could expand the little ladder. Yes. It was so cool. I was like, geez, they just thought of everything. They tried to bring Micro Machines back, but I guess it didn't take off like they thought it would.
It's because I own the copyright and the trademark for my photo booth.
Son of a bitch.
No, I did actually go through. I have a trademark pending currently for Micro Machine photo booth, and it hasn't gotten rejected yet. So I think I will actually own the copyright there.
That's sweet. But yeah, dude, I have an SL 500 still, but those ones where you look through the sunroof are just so cool. It's like what were those things called? Was it called a viewfinder? Those little clicky things?
Yes, the Viewmaster.
Viewmaster. So it was the same logic as that, like a slide ingrained in the car.
Dude, I remember those. I forgot about their existence until you said that. I do remember those.
It was super cool. And it was the interior, like you're looking through the sunroof. So you see the passenger, you see the seats, the manual transmission, a dog in the back seat. I was like,
those are cool.
It's such a cool idea, right?
Like, and I remember, boy, I'm just remembering stuff that I completely forgot existed. I have one that I had a couple of them. I think I still have one, maybe two that survived, but it was a Micro Machine, or not a Micro Machine. It was a Matchbox.
Okay.
And there was a little hole in the back of it, like where the license plate would go, basically. And I remember one I have, it's a Z71 Turbo 300Z. And you put it, and then it came with like a key, like a plastic key, and you would put the plastic key, you would push it into the hole in the back, and there was a little trigger on the key, and there was a spring inside the car, so it would spring load it, and you'd push it, and it would just launch off the key.
I remember
the key. And I still have the key. Now the key's been lost to time forever, but I still have one or two of those cars kicking around.
Sweet.
And those were fabulous. And that's just like what is that, 164 scale, I think, is
I
technically what
think
most of
all
those.
Hot Wheels and Matchbox. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you ever play with any of the bigger stuff? Either like, I guess maybe start off with like the bigger, like the what was that, Mosimo, or not Mosimo? They make like surfboard shit.
Camouflage.
Um, yeah, or that too. Yeah, Mossy Oak
Mossy
brand.
Oak. Where are we
You
going
go
here?
into those real tree models, but no, like the where it's just like a big die cast, but it's like way fancier. Everything opens up, and it's usually affixed to a base, and it's like a 124 scale, maybe. I don't know what scale, but way
I
bigger.
think I was a little older. I was like in my early 20s. I have a few still when I started getting into those because they're pretty cool. I have like some of the initial D ones, which are freaking sweet. I like the
Those are cool.
A86. I have like the FCRX7 and the R32 GTR, to name a few. But yeah, those are super cool, man. Like I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't really into them. I don't think they were too like prolific when we were kids because I don't remember seeing those till later in life.
Yeah, I had a handful when I was a kid, but like they were made for display, and I would always play with them, and invariably they would, like, wheels would fall off and stuff. Remember forever when I was super young. It might still be kicking around, but it's going to be very broken. It's like an old, like, Ferrari, like a 250 GTO. And I remember it had like the knockoff like center lugs that you can take off, and you can actually spin them off.
Wow.
And pull the wheels off and stuff. It was cool, but like I ruined it. And I don't know, I kind of wish I was more into those. I'm not into them. I just don't really think about them. But
Yeah,
they're very cool. Like,
they're
you turn the
pricey
front
though.
wheels, and like the steering wheel turns with it and stuff like that.
Yeah, full interior. You can usually pop the hood and the doors, but those are pricey if you're going to get into collecting like die cast. If you're collecting those bigger ones,
like the ones they used to sell at the Franklin Mint for like $150 at the ball.
Ridiculous.
And they weren't even that nice. Like, I'm sure you can get ones now for like mad money that have like actual leather interior and like really crazy stuff. I'm sure that's out there. I haven't comment below. And
Probably cheaper than most, or
react.
more expensive than most of the project cars I bring into this garage, probably.
Yeah, absolutely fair.
How about another one? This might be one you didn't think of for this, but were you into Transformers?
More than meets the eye. I was a little bit into robots in disguise. Although I remember being in elementary school and having a debate with a kid where I was like, no, the song is robot Transformers more than meets the eyes, Transformers robots in disguise. And he's like, no, there's like airplane ones. It's robots in disguise, like flying through the sky. And I'm like, no, man, that's not what it is. And it was,
I like it.
It was contentious.
Well, Starscream, yeah, he was in the skies.
Really? Yeah.
I legitimately have like a Gen 1 Grimlock, you know, the T-Rex guy sitting on my shelf in here. So speaking of cars though, the ones I was really into is like I started off in the 80s with this Transformer stuff. So I have like I wish I still had the Gen 1s that were actually real cars. Those were the ones I was super into. So there was a guy called Blue Streak who was a Datsun 280ZX.
Yeah.
Freaking cool. And then of course Jazz was a Porsche. I think he was a 935. I know he had the Martini livery on him. Those are like two of my favorite ones, dude. It's just because they looked like the cars when you transformed them. And a lot of transformers were like abstract, you know, vehicles, right? But these were like real cars, and I always got a kick out of that.
Yeah, there was a second gen Supra one, and now I'm looking it up. I'm trying to remember what the name of it was, and I remember being into that one even because it was like a lot like my mom's Celica at the time.
Right.
It was like Sonic Boom or something like that. Not transmission, Transformer. Oh, there he is. What's his name? Answer me.
It's your name. So they did do in the
Downshift.
That makes sense. In the
good name.
In the early 2000s, I know they released more. There was like a Honda S2000 one, which you should totally get. And there's an STI Subaru WRX STI one. And I always thought those were super cool how they brought back the real cars. So I actually have, you remember the first Transformers, like new movie, the Michael Bay ones? They had a Pontiac Solstice one, and I have that one actually.
Oh, sick.
So that's pretty cool.
So I was just at Rensport this past Sunday, and they had a couple of like Transformers like displays, and one of them had like the 993. I think it's a 993 and 964. It's a 993. silver with the blue stripes, and they had it there for like people to check out, and then they had a big like Autobot behind it. So that was pretty dope. I was in the Transformers. What was weird was I was into the Transformer toys, but I didn't really watch the show or anything that much. I would just
the
like
movie
the
was
cool.
fucking pivotal in my childhood because it came at a time
super upset at me.
Yeah, where we wouldn't like hide like dramatic things from children. Like children need to be exposed. Optimus Prime dying in that movie really it was soul crushing, dude. Right?
Children need to be exposed to
they
more
need to
things.
be. No, you don't need to expose yourself to children. They need to be exposed to things. But
or
likely either story. One or a blend.
Define things.
But anyway, like that was a big deal. Like you saw the head of the Transformers, the Autobot leader, just straight up get ganged by good old Megatron. So I thought that was so cool. But that movie hit hard. That was a good one. The TV show, of course, was just like to plug the toys, just like Ninja Turtles and all the other stuff we were into when we were kids. But G.I. Joe, same thing. I think Duke dies, right? Duke dies in the G.I. Joe movie. It was like a theme, like fuck your superheroes. They're gonna die, like your childhood.
Well, because my parents made questionable decisions in my upbringing. I remember being 4, maybe 5 at the latest, and watching, I think it was the first RoboCop, which is not something like a 4 or 5-year-old should be watching.
No.
But I remember there being a scene where
dicks were shot.
RoboCop. No, yeah,
true, true story.
Remix, not the remix, which that's one of my favorite like piece of internet lore of all time.
Funny.
It's so fabulous. It's my kind of stupid. The no, there's like a scene where I keep Ed TV. I don't remember the guy's name. Whatever the crazy murder bot, the big track thing. Yeah, whatever that guy's name is, he just like machine guns down like a bus. Like RoboCop is like hiding behind a bus or in a bus, and it just like Swiss cheeses this bus. And I remember like weeping uncontrollably and being just like beside myself because they killed the bus. Like the bus got destroyed. I was like, that bus, and being like totally. So yeah, I wasn't watching Transformer stuff when I was a kid as I should have been. I was watching RoboCop shoot dudes in the Johnson.
I was right there with you, man. I watched like Predator and Alien at an unholy age. So I think it's what made me the mess I am today. So cheers to those decisions. And,
yeah, exactly. I haven't slept in 7 months. But yeah, it's did you ever?
It's like a Mitch Hedberg joke, dude. I haven't slept for 7 days because that's too long to sleep.
It's true. You know. May he rest in peace. Did you ever mess with RC stuff?
Yeah,
did you ever get into RC?
Quite a bit. So I was always I grew up in what would be called the socioeconomic stratum of the poors. So I never got like the really nice RC stuff. I usually got like the cheap 1 frequency little radial dial buggies.
Or the only way it can turn is in reverse. Like it'll go straight and then you back up and it'll like you can
it's
just
right hand turns only. So you got to figure out how you're
in reverse. Yeah, that's the only way.
It was super cool, but I got some cool buggies. And do you remember the buggies with real suspension? That was like a big deal because I played with them mostly outside. Again, we didn't have a lot of concrete and pavement where I grew up, raised by wolves in the countryside. So like hitting cool jumps and like all kinds of shit. Yes, of course. But there was like a 10-foot range. So you were like running around with your RC car. And then if you and your friend got the same one, you had the same frequency and the freaking cars would just be going berserk.
Yep. Kind of doing the same thing.
How about you, man? You play with those?
Yeah, so I never got into like almost never. Like when I was in high school, I wanted to get like a nice like Tamiya like chassis where you paint the body shell and you put it on top. I never really got that fancy. But yeah, I had a bunch of the like starting off the cheaper stuff. Because that's what my parents could kind of afford or were willing to stomach buying me. But I had an uncle who my Uncle Bob, real good dude. And he was, I don't want to say the wealthy uncle, but he was the more well-off uncle. And so every year for like my birthday or for Christmas, he would buy me, like I went for like this 5-year chunk of time where he would buy me a remote control piece of construction equipment. And they were like put together nice, but they weren't like they they had a cord to it. So you had a remote that had a cord that went to it. So it was like nice, but not crazy nice. But there was like a cement truck, and it had like the drum on the back would turn, so I'd fill it up with sand and shit, and then you would just drive it to wherever, and then you would spit it the other way, and it would dump the sand out. And like a dump truck and an excavator and stuff like that. So I had some of that. I never had anything like really fast. I remember, do you remember, I think it was like a Tyco one. There was a guy, I lived near my elementary school. I was like a block from the elementary school. And so me and some kids, we would just go there. This is back when you would just like let your 8-year-old run around the neighborhood. It was totally normal. And so we would just go there just during the day and during the summer. We just go to the school there and run around the pavement and do whatever and start fires. And so there was a guy that would show up there a lot. And he had, at the time, I think it was called the Tracks, where it was like a almost like an off-road buggy looking chassis, but it had treads, and it was super fast
because it can go upside down too.
I don't remember. I thought this one could flip, but either way, it was like the fastest thing in the world. And I remember just being, it probably did 20, but for like 8 or 9-year-old me, I remember it was like a pinkish red. It was like TRAXX, I think was the name or something like that. And
I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, it flies, but it's flat. It's like very narrow, and it can be flipped over. So you could jump off a freaking rock, hit your neighbor right in the freaking shins, and it would just tumble, and then you could take off.
Oh, dude, I found it, and I can get one on eBay right now. This is, Trax RC vintage 1991, $125. Well, plus $70 in shipping because they're monstrously bad people.
Do you see what I'm saying with the image though? Is it the narrow one with the tracks, and you can flip it? And
this one, if you flipped it, it would blow up. Like it looks like,
shit.
In my head, it looked like super, like super well built. But in these photos, it looks like it's made out of just like melted crayons and garbage. But it's definitely the one I was thinking of.
Okay, cool.
Very, very cool. But yeah, like it, and so I always wanted one of the really fast ones, and that was electric, let alone like the really, the gas stuff, which I never played with. But yeah, there were some pretty interesting RC stuff.
Yeah, this is a different one than I'm thinking. The other one I'm thinking of had like tracks that were bigger than the body, which was pretty cool.
I've definitely seen those. But yeah, it's there was a guy who just had one of these in the neighborhood, and it was just monstrously fast. You know what? I bet you there's some like 80s, 90s vintage like RC car like community that I'm completely unaware of, and there's probably like 700 like review videos of people like reviewing the history of this little RC car and how fast they were and how popular they were, and they're getting paid like millions of dollars on their vintage RC YouTube channel.
The technology's come so far, dude. I've gone to a park like a few times and seen guys like jumping entire roads with their RC cars. These off-road buggy, like they look like trophy trucks, but they're like they just, and they gotta go like 45 miles an hour, like no joke. Like,
dude,
not scale 45, like true 45. These absolutely just go, man. And motor technology, battery technology is so much better than when we were kids, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I bought one for my son. I think it's a 118 scale. So it's not like most of the ones are whatever they are, 112, 18. I don't know the scales.
Yeah.
But it's significantly smaller than that. It's about the size of, I don't know, loaf of bread. Is it bigger than a bread box? But it I think I paid like $115 for it, and it's like all put together. It'll come with the controller and a battery and all the stuff. And it genuinely does 30. Like it rips, and it's got full suspension, and it's got, you can upgrade parts and servos and stuff like that. And like that would have gotten that same amount of money, $115 in 1990 money, would have gotten you half the car, and it would have broke instantly. And let alone drones. Like drones are a thing.
Yeah, true.
I would have committed a felony to get a drone when I was like 12. Like
remember those helicopters came out first? Those were kind of fun. I remember I had some friends at my house in my early 20s, and we were, imbibing adult drinks, and my buddy's girlfriend at the time like took the helicopter up, was just kind of going around in everybody's face, kind of funny, and then she took it right across my big screen TV.
Oh no.
with the prop plates, and it like left a permanent like etching mark across. I was like, maybe we don't play with this inside the house.
So there was I remember seeing there was a kid, I think he was like 19. This is a couple years ago. He was like a competitive RC helicopter flyer, like flyer pilot, whatever you are. And he was just like
parents
the local
must have been proud, but continue.
Well, he was just like at the local park, like doing tricks and doing the whole thing. And it was like one of the big ass ones, like the size of like a workbench.
Jesus.
And he like was just like fucking around with it, doing tricks and stuff. And he just like accidentally flew into his head and just cut his head clean in half, like right through his face, and like instantly dead. And just be like,
fatality.
Imagine just like walking your dog at the park and watching that happen. Just like, oh,
I called it, helicopter kid. I knew it.
He had it coming. Yeah. So yeah, don't do that.
Get away from the chopper.
Yes. What about just regular like models that won't try and kill you if you mess up? Just like a little, scale model with the level 1, level 2, snap tight, whatever.
So I used to do this with my dad. I obviously started with the snap tights, and then you move up to the glue. One of my all-time favorites too is the Datsun 240Z, and I painted it that awesome Datsun orange. That was like my favorite color on those cars.
Pumpkin orange.
Yep. And then we put it all together. The hardest thing on that car was it had this awesome graphic that went on the lower like kind of door area across the whole side of the car, and it said like Datsun 240 at
black,
whatever,
right?
240Z. Yeah, and it was like written that cool script, that clearly 70s script. But that was the age of decals when you had to wet them.
Dude, they were
then try to
so
stick
hard.
It ripped apart every time. But
I
somehow
or they crinkle, or they
did it
stick like sideways, and you couldn't. Yeah,
I did it perfect both sides. It was like the proudest I'd been at that time. I couldn't, maybe the suspension didn't line up perfect and the wheels were a little wonky, but like I got the decals on. That's all that counts, man. But that was cool. But 240Z, that was one of my favorites, always in my mind. How about you, man? What was your favorite model that you did as a kid?
Yeah, I had a bunch. I mean, the first models I did were like airplanes and stuff. I think I remember my dad got me a B-25 Mitchell, which I put together shoddily and then like hung with fishing line off the ceiling, so it looked like it was flying around the bedroom.
That's dope.
And so that's what I did initially. But when I got into doing the cars, man, some of the ones I remember specifically were I had I bought like random ones. I bought just like a 94 Celica, just like a base GT Celica, because that's
cool car.
It wasn't an ST205, just a regular ass Celica. I had an FC RX-7 convertible that I bought all the paint. Like, I'm gonna do it nice, and I got like the spray paint for the body, and I instead of trying to brush paint it looked like garbage, I sprayed the body yellow, like mac and cheese yellow. I remember I had an Bugatti EB110 Super Sport.
Such a cool looking car
that I painted in like the correct, I don't know, sky blue, not Nagaro blue, whatever that blue is.
Yep.
That was like the poster child blue on those. I had a bunch of them, man. Yeah, those are the ones that like jump off the page for me mentally.
So fun to do.
Yeah, and you get the huffing the glue and like, just using that like super toxic glue and just like getting it on your fingers and like not thinking about it and like going to sleep and like wake, like I'm too sleepy to finish this model. You just like go to bed and like wake up the next morning, your fingers are like falling apart, like it's like eating the skin off the tips of your fingers.
I was gonna say you wake up with a finger glued to your butthole, but
yeah, no, that would have been glued in my butthole, but no, the yeah, you go to pee in the middle of the night and
gotta tease it before you please it, Frank.
I guess so.
One last honorable mention before we get into our quiz game. Know what was built like a brick shit house of a car toy that we played with as kids, and everybody pretty much played with these?
You got to go Tonka, right?
That's how did we leave that off, man? I had so many, and I never brought them in the house because I had so many. And they were the old.
They were always covered in mud. Yeah,
rusted, just covered in dirt. But nothing beat those things. Just like working with the construction equipment in the sandbox or whatever. I just thought those things were so cool. And like, I remember I have a fond memory of running around like the basement. We have a thing called cellars back home, and they're underground, usually concrete. And I was
they collect toxic fumes and gases. It's great.
Yeah, just like my bathroom. But I'm
Mhm.
pushing this thing around and I'm going like Mach 5 and I freaking slips out from under me and I have like I still have a scar under my chin where I split it. Fond memories of pushing my Tonka dump truck
The Tonka
around the basement.
dump truck of all the Tonka toys, the Tonka dump truck is undefeated because it's the ultimate push around at
Dude,
ludicrous speed
perfect.
car. Like that's what you would do. You would like you'd get it like both hands on either side of the bedside, right where it kind of meets the cab, right at the front, and just lean on it and just sprint that bad bitch all over the place.
If you put too much weight on it, though, it becomes the back dumps, and you dump your chin on the concrete at
That's right.
the
Dumps
fastest
like a
speed
truck.
possible. Yeah,
What?
dump my
What?
ass like a truck.
The thighs like what? The I had one too that was a it was like a CJ7 Jeep. That was a Tonka one, and that was the only one that I kept pretty clean and still have it. Like it's all together. It came with like a Velcro on bikini top, like a soft top, and it would Velcro on, and I still have the Velcro top. So it's a yellow metallic chassis with black bars and like black plastic over fenders, and then this red Velcro on top with clear plastic windows and stuff. And it's at my parents' house. My kid still plays with it.
Dude, good save.
And it was the only one that didn't get ruined. All the other ones, I mean, those have to be worth money, right? If you have a perfect, because they were the most abused of all the kids' toys.
That's what they were built for. They even said like Tonka tough, you know? So
yeah. And so if you have a perfect like original Tonka dump truck, it's probably worth like $1,500 or something silly.
hell yeah. Also, sorry about your childhood. If your Tonka truck isn't all banged up.
Yeah. Well, just the Jeep. The Jeep was the only one I kept nice. All the other ones got straight demolished.
Story checks out. But dude, let's that was fun. That was fun talking about car toys.
Yeah. Toys
made us what we are today. Now we just, like you said, have bigger, more complicated, pain in the ass, expensive toys that are called real cars.
Yeah, I know. Too many of them. Just
often.
Well, how about this? You want to ruin me?
That's
not what I meant. That's not what
camera.
I meant. That's not what I meant.
Yeah. Let me cue up the ad. Why don't you explain to our faithful and lovely listeners what we're about to get into?
Yes. Speaking of ruining, the game we're about to play is our print ad quiz game. Still terribly named, still exciting to play along with at home. So please feel free to do so. Chadwick is going to find a piece of automotive print advertisement from some sort of print publication from the 80s, the 90s, up to the mid 2000s. He will then read the print copy from that advertisement. I will get 3 guesses to guess what motor vehicle, make, model, and approximate year that he's reading about. I will not fail, but if I do get some misses, I can ask for some hints in between those guesses. I get 10 minutes, and I'm ready. Chadwick, are you ready?
Very ready, my friend. Let me get 10 minutes queued up. I won't start it till I finish the ad, but just so you know that's looming there for you.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
The ad is super cool, my friend. The vehicle is in red. Driver's side rear 3/4 at kind of a canted angle, taking up most of the ad. This is a 2-page spreaderino. It has that version with a presumably a male and a female looking right back through the rear window. And then there's another almost nearly isometric above the passenger side looking down at the car. Pretty cool, showing off another feature there. But I'm going to read you the ad, my friend, and best of luck.
Okay. All right.
Introducing the new Blank. Wide open fun, twin cam excitement. We like twin cams. Blank introduces the bold new look of Blank, and your favorite roads will never be the same. From the moment you get, and the print ad is not too good, you get behind the wheel, you'll know what wide open blank fun is all about. Open up Blank standard T-roof and pour on the fuel-injected 16-valve twin cam power standard. Then let Blank show you the way with its fully independent suspension, razor sharp rack and pinion steering, and tuned front and rear stabilizer bars. With the Blank, you get a distinctive body color, front air dam, and 14-inch alloy sport wheels with performance radials. Inside the Blank, it features a sport tilt steering wheel, power mirrors, an AM/, The second part's important. FM, stereo
Oh.
radio, and a rear
Lap
seat
of
that can
luxury.
fold up for occasional passengers.
You know what?
I love
I
that.
hold the phone real quick. I don't care about the time. How often do we get a piece of actual honesty when it comes to discussing how many passengers these cars can fit in these ads? Never.
And we should play a fun game, because that's the best way to refer to those back seats that no one in their right mind sat into, unless it was like an emergency situation. Agreed. Good call out. So it can occasionally fold up to hold passengers. Right. The all-new Blank is one machine you'll love to test drive, but beware. It will be like rediscovering the open road. Extended service plan available up to 5 years, 100,000 miles. Ask about Blank Security Plus at participating Blank dealers. Frank, what vehicle are we introducing today? 10 minutes on the clock. Don't let me down.
So, okay. Oh, boy.
Bless me.
Okay. There's some easy things to start off here. 16 valve, twin cam, so 4-cylinder. I didn't get drive, but there's a lot of players in. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do this. So T-bar roof. And it sounded like it was a T-bar roof standard. It didn't say like available, I don't think. It just said T-bar roof.
Yes.
Standard T-bar roof.
Standard T-bar.
I think I'm gonna take I think I'm just gonna start off with a straight up guess.
Oh,
because I'm looking at you on the camera here, and I see a car that fits this bill exactly directly behind you.
The Trooper? No, dude.
There's a Nissan NX 2000. It has all of those things. It's got remote mirrors. It's got independent suspension. It has tuned stabilizer bars front and rear. I think that came with 14s from the factory. And all of that stuff would also carry over even to the NX 1600, right? 16 valve, twin cam, T-bar roof. Oh, maybe those had 13s. I know those you can get those in Steelies. Either way, that's going to be my guess. I'm just going to shoot from the hip, shoot questions, ask later. I'm going to say this is a 1991 Nissan NX 2000. Final answer.
Okay. Introducing the new, not a Nissan NX 2000.
All right. Well, I took a shot.
Good shot.
Color-coded front air dam. Could this be, I mean, man, there's a lot of things that can fit that. It could be a Geostorm, although we've done one of those pretty recently, and I don't think it's that. Because I didn't get that. It could be an Isuzu Impulse.
Would you like, my friend?
I want to make it not a totally easy hint. My in my mental space, I'm very much leaning towards this being made by a Japanese. How about this? Branded and sold under the make of a Japanese manufacturer. Is that correct?
I confirm that is true.
Okay. So my hunch is correct. It's not a Fiero or something dumb. Shout out to the Fiero. Okay. So it could be, I don't think MR2s were standard T-bar roof. So I don't, and it didn't mention anything about midship runabout or any of that. I don't. So I'm thinking it's not MR2. I don't know if anything else from Toyota was standard with the T-bar roof. There was some stuff that you can get a Targa or a full-on convertible. Thank you, ASC. So it's making me shy away from Toyota. But I don't know. 16 valve T-roof standard. It's not a Mazda NX. Boy. I mean, could it be the predecessor? Could this be a Pulsar NX?
Only one way to find out.
I mean, it very well could be. Because I can't think of a Honda with a standard T-bar roof. You know, a Del Sol was not a T-bar. That was a Targa with a roll-down rear window. Unless you got the ones we never got, the JDM Sport roof or whatever they call, where it goes in the trunk.
Those are sweet.
I can't think of anything from Mazda that would fit this bill. I'm gonna say we never got an Acura with a standard T-bar roof. I'm going to say that this is a 1987 Nissan Pulsar NX. Final answer, Bob?
Introducing the new Pulsar NX. You were so close the first time too, my friend.
Yeah,
you are right. We are talking about the predecessor to the NX 2000 and, like you said, 1600. The Pulsar NX, my friend. Let me haphazardly, because I'm on another computer here. Look how fucking sweet this ad is, dude.
You know what? Is it? I think I've done that one. I don't know.
That's why I'm compiling a list of print ad quiz game shows.
I think what's funny, like I clearly didn't remember it.
True.
But it's either I've done it or I've seen it in my like looking for ads.
This is what I thought. I thought you did a Pulsar NX ad that had the wagon option on there, and it was in the ad too.
The Sportback?
Yep.
The Sportback is dope. I mean, maybe, but that ad looks like violently familiar.
It's super.
But yeah, those cars they're very, very, very cool. And they don't exist anymore. They're all long gone. They're not fast. They don't really do anything well other than look cool.
Yeah, they really weren't great handling out of the box. I mean, it was good. It was like comparable Econo box sports car for the time. It was good for what that was. The follow-up ad, the one you can see over my shoulder, was just absolutely an improvement in every aspect of it. You know, from power plant to suspension tuning. Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, far and away. But it's just one of my favorite rear light treatments of any car.
So cool.
It's so cool, it's so unique, and it's so of the era. And I have no business owning any cars at this point. I just need to take the bus. But yeah, like I would love one of those. Those things are incredibly cool.
Absolutely. So good job, man. I knew you were going to get there. And with your first guess, I knew it was 50-50. You were going to pick one of these two because they fall into the same camp. Fun fact, the NX 1600, which is similar to my NX 2000, except one cool feature that got, mine didn't, full electronic gauge cluster.
Oh, you could get a digital dash.
That's all it came with in the 1600. So that was like one of the big differentiations. Isn't that cool?
And it's cool, but like, I guess, you know, at the time, it probably still... like analog gauges are the sporty option, right? And then digital stuff is the more luxurious, more grand touring. You know, I know the Supras, the Mark II Supras that I love so well. You can only, in the United States anyways, you can only get the digital dash option on the luxury type Supras, and the performance type with the flared fenders and the wing and all the stuff and the bucket seats all got analog.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Cool.
Very cool
cars. Either way you cut it. Cool car.
Hey, I did it.
Nice.
Speaking of doing things, yeah. Do you want to sound some PCP, my friend?
Let's do it. Let's freaking go, man. Let's do it. Project Car Progress.
Maybe don't sound it, but
yeah, I need to clear that up every time.
It's a good qualifier. Yeah.
So, dude, I've been actually working on an NX 2000 recently. So, removing all the worn out suspension components. This is 30-year-old car at this point, which is insane to think about. But pulling everything out, the strut assemblies, control arms, outer tie rods, sway bar end links. So everything but the front struts are original. So like it's never had tie rods. Like there were the original Nissan ones, completely shot. Every bushing that came out, like the control arms, like the ball joint was like completely devoid of any grease, right? Yeah. And that explains why the car rode so horribly and was kind of all over, had tracking issues staying straight. So that'll do that. Worn out bushings kind of give you a shitty ride. So I'm in the process right now of, taking all that out and putting in good stuff. And that's a big deal. Project adjacent, I did finish up my 88 Isuzu Trooper, which is completely finished now. And I actually celebrated that by taking it down to Morning Motors with our friends from DWA.
Heck yeah.
Iffy drive, 85 miles each way. So 170 miles round trip, give or take. Dude, over the hills, like to the Santa Cruz Mountains, like Route 17, I had to find third gear a couple times and drop a little below the highway speed limit. So 120 horsepower out of a 2.64 cylinder. It's like Miata horsepower pushing around 1.5 Miatas. So
yes,
a little iffy
with all the
there.
aerodynamics of a brick wall.
Exactly, even less, I think, right? Because there's like grooves into it for air to
windows
escape
down.
Into. Yeah. So especially with the AC windows pointed forward like this, it's even more drag. But just, dude, perform flawlessly, doesn't get hot, doesn't run weird, just perfect truck. And it was well received. A lot of people were taking photos of it. You just don't see it. And we got there a little late and driving around the lot, and everybody's just like, dude, all the rally folks we know are like, dude, you brought it. We saw you on 17 doing like 10 under. I'm like, yeah, that's how I roll. But dude, love that truck. It always puts a smile on people's faces because you don't know when you see one, you're like, dude, I have literally not seen one on the road for like 20 years or more. So that was my PCP for the past week. How about you, my friend? What have you been up to? Any wrench turning?
Tiny bit. So I took the
tiny wrenches.
Kind of. Well, I more than anything, I paid for someone else to turn wrenches because I've been so
you dirty girl,
obscenely busy, and I've been needing to get. I'm not sleeping.
Don't sleep is my answer.
I've been doing. Speaking of PCP, but no, the motor mounts on the green 924 have been wiggly. Like I keep tearing exhaust. Like I took to an exhaust shop, got it welded up, drove it 100 miles, exhaust broke again. First it was right behind the cat, then it was right in front of the cat. Took to an exhaust shop, welded it up again, and it's just like, he's like, dude, I think your motor mounts are gone. I was like, yeah, I think that has to be the answer, right? Because all the hangers are good, everything. Just I don't know.
Have you watched your engine with the car running yet?
A little bit, and it's got a little wiggle to it, but nothing crazy.
You ever manually like crank the throttle and watch it like jump out of its position?
Yeah, but it's hard to do. Like, I don't know. It's easier to do when it's on under load, right? Like reverse and then forward and reverse and watch what it does. And so it's like, all right, well, let me get motor mounts. I had to order some from the UK. They're like some tiny small production shop makes these like reproduction ones, but they're not reproduction. It's just like a totally different style. And so I found this shop that's just hole in the wall, like Tijuana special shop that's by me, and they'll do stuff just for cash because that's what they do, right? Kind of a fly by night shop, something like that. Motor, like I would never have them diagnose anything,
timing belt,
do anything big. I probably not.
I didn't think so.
But motor mounts, I'm like, yeah, you can swap out motor mounts. So 250. They're like, yeah, we'll do it for $250. I'm like, done, right? So they did it. I look at the mounts when they come out and they don't look that bad. So I'm like,
weird.
Okay, well, I've got new ones now, right? They're definitely way buzzier.
More vibration inside.
Yeah, which I kind of not into. But I'm not gonna like swap them back.
Yeah.
Like use the used ones back in. It seems like a waste. So I don't love it. It works. I know that's going to be reliable. Like they're stout, they're bigger, they're chunkier. But they're not as nice. Just full stop. So that's mildly disappointing. It only cost me $250. It's like not a huge, well, plus the parts were another $220 or whatever it was. So
that's not bad.
Hopefully it stops tearing motor mounts. But I too took it to a Cars and Coffee event. So I drove it to our other friends of the pod, Vault Auto Club here in the Yay area, as the kids used to call it 12 years ago. And yeah, it did great. Drove it out there. A lot of people are into that car just because of the color. I met up with some other Cars and Bids peeps that were in the area for different reasons. One guy was from the Pac Northwest. He came down because he's going to Rennsport, so he stayed the whole week in the Bay, and then down in Monterey to do Rennsport and all that. And it was good. And so I honestly this is going to sound really dumb, but just like the mild disappointment in the motor mount thing, and the fact I really need to truly own far fewer cars.
Oh no, dude!
Kind of makes me. It kind of makes me want to like be like, okay, like not the bloom is off the rose, but like it kind of makes me want to sell it. But I know I'm just like, if I got like $7,000 for that car, I would like that's so much more money than I expect to get for that car.
No, but if the motor mounts had worked out,
probably get like 4.
If the motor mounts had worked out perfect, Frank, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think you're just.
I don't know. I think
you're a little. I think you're a little touchy about the NVH increase when you thought it was going to be smooth, but at least you're not breaking exhaust, and it's such a cool color, and you got such a screaming deal on it.
I know, but I have too many cars. Like what, I'm going to sell the Galant instead?
No, well, absolutely not. But that your statement doesn't compute, my friend.
I need to sell things, but we'll see. We'll see. I might drive it around a little bit more. I do need to sell
that one
things.
behind you.
I'll probably.
God,
I know, but I got to do more work with time I don't have in order to get it shorn up and ready. If somebody were to like walk in and give me like $6,000 for it as it sits, which is probably about what it's worth as it sits
for the 924 turbo,
for the turbo car.
You ever thought about just putting it out there? Why don't you just list it just in case?
Maybe find someone to fall in love, like right off the heels of.
Well, if you're not like rushing to sell it, just put the ad out there, let it sit. You never know.
Yeah.
Huh?
You know what I should do? I should do that because I know if I go around and like, all right, let me get some photos. Like, well, this faded like trim black here on the back edge of the door. Let me just paint that first and do that. Well, if I'm gonna do that, let me roll it out of the garage into the light and clean it up. And, well, like before I roll it out of the garage, let me tighten this thing up, and then I'll just end up working on the damn thing. And then maybe it will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I really need to do that in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Because it will be the only one for sale on the market.
That's what I'm saying.
They don't transact.
Right. And I think yours is good enough. Do you have existing photos before you had it parked in your garage indefinitely, or?
Not really. I've got a few somewhere that I can find. But like I recovered the seats. I've got new tires on it. I did the timing belt and water pump. I did all the cooling system. I did the whole PCV system. I've done door weather strips. I've done.
Dude, I would just do like a passive. Yeah, do a passive sales ad, put it out there for like 6,500 or best offer, and you'll get 6 because that's what the math is. They take 500 off, and then someone can come tow it away or whatever, and you can be free, and you don't have to sell your green 924 that actually drives.
Yeah, but then part of me is like, well, if I get 6 for this one, and then I get 6 for the other one, I can buy like the nicest 924 in the world for 10.
True. You shouldn't. You absolutely shouldn't, but
I should. At that point, I should take my ball and go home.
Yeah, this track record is not too good.
Or then take the 84 Supra and sell that too, and now I'll be sitting on low 20s and buy something really cool. I don't know. The math, the car guy math is complicated, so
it's tough.
I got to get the scooter running. There's lots of things, but yeah, we can play this song and dance all day. In fact, we already have. We're nipping at the heels of episode 100 here. And so for that, we thank you, kind male and female and everything in between listener. Do you have any parting shots or gifts or bits of knowledge here for our listeners playing along at home?
Just thanks for stopping by, guys. We appreciate it as always. But yeah, rate, review, APA podcast, another Pointless Automotive podcast.
We have like 4 reviews, dude.
2 stars, 1 stars. What are we looking at?
Oh, I don't know.
They're not being truthful.
No, on OnlyFans we've got more than 4. We should actually. Can we put all these? Can we host all these videos on Pornhub?
We can. We have to put. I asked about that earlier this week, and they said we both need to do the spread butt cheek thing. So I'm going to show you some of my basic poses, and maybe they'll take us on board. But besides that, you can listen to us anywhere you listen to YouTube or watch your YouTube version of this, which you guys should sign up. Another Pointless Automotive podcast. Please subscribe, check it out. We do put a video version of this podcast out every week. It's really fun to see us there, and you can see the stupid shit we're talking about in the backgrounds, which is usually usually our cars that don't move too much because we are slow at working on things. Because
there's like ugly ass ladder that I've got back here, and there's a Christmas tree up there that's gonna go away here in a little bit. It'll move inside. My old bass guitar over there that never gets touched. Bunch of coyotes. Speed shine. Yeah. So play along at home. We should, you know what we should do? We should have like not a Waldo, maybe a bong or like I don't know, a huge 10-inch floppy veiny guy, and just like hide it in the background different places, and so people can play along at home.
Like Billy Bong Thornton. Is that what you're
Yeah, could be.
I didn't know if you said dildo immediately after, so I assumed you said dong at one point. So
well, either. I mean, two things, anything can be a dildo if you're brave enough. But
put them both in your mouth.
Either way, like we can have some little thing and hide it around in the background. And
I love that.
I don't know if people like comment where it is and they find it.
Is that the kind of stuff?
Absolutely nothing.
Is that the stuff you take photos of, Frank? Or where can these people find what you really take photos of?
Segue. Dude, do you think there's someone that's like there's like the professional Segway photographer? They take pictures of Segways and people on Segways and like extreme Segwaying. They're like
absolutely
the Segway
100%
photographer. So maybe I'll be that person. But until then, you can catch me on the Photographer's Garage on the Grams and the Tubes. I've never seen the Tubes live, but maybe one day I will, and you can catch me at their concert. But until then, us collectively, Chadwick and I, we are APA Podcast on the Nearly Abandoned Instagram. And how about you yourself, good sir?
Yeah, Auto Obsessive Garage. Follow me for your rescues, restorations, and reviews, mostly on the YouTube. You can find me on Instagram as well. But again, guys, thanks for swinging by. It was fun talking about toys, both adult
Episode
and childhood.
99.
99.
It's our last double digit.
Almost our centennial.
That's right. Who knows? Clothing optional. I don't know what's going to happen for number 100.
Make it
maybe we'll. Yeah, who knows? We might get canceled or hit by lightning or
both.
Late stage syphilis. Either way, that's enough of this one for today. Catch us on the next one. Ep 100.
As always, take care, guys. Peace.
Thank you, friends.